Welcome to the Dragon's Library, your source for games, movies, shows, and more. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Dragon's Library. So today we are reviewing Pokémon Legends Arceus, or Arceus. I pronounce it both ways, so you know. This is a really exciting thing for me because, first of all, I'm a huge Pokemon fan. Like, massive. Now, I didn't play Sword and Shield. I just didn't really want to. There was a lot going on at the time, and quite frankly, they just didn't look like good games to me. However, I did play Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. I played Pokemon Go. I played basically all the games before that, including Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon. So, I've always been a huge Pokemon fan. Ever since I was a kid. And when I started seeing the information about what we were going to be getting in Pokemon Legends Arceus, I was just super ecstatic. This looked like Pokemon finally starting to evolve a little bit to keep up with the modern day. And the game itself, fantastic. We'll get into that in a second, but so yeah. So this is going to be the spoiler-free section of our review. If you want spoilers, if you don't want any spoilers, this part is perfectly fine. I'll let you guys know we're going to spoiler section. Moving on. The other review. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, by the way, you will actually be able to see some of my gameplay footage. I'm going to be cutting that in there. Hopefully that'll look great. It might be out a day later than the podcast, but that's just how YouTube is for me sometimes. I'm not the best when it comes to video editing, so, you know, it is what it is. Sorry about that. Oh, and thank you for that, those two people who decided to subscribe to my channel. Yes, I did see your subscriptions. Thank you so much for subscribing. Seriously, love it. Anyway, so with Pokemon Legends Arceus, we have something quite different from the usual Pokemon game. Now, I would explain how it's different from a Pokemon game, but this is Pokemon, the single highest grossing franchise on Earth. I feel like anyone who plays video games knows how a Pokemon game plays. It's, you know, a 16 Pokemon and a JRPG turn-based battle system. That's basically been most, if not all, Pokemon games. They have all had their own gimmicks, but that's basically been the way Pokemon's worked forever. You know, random encounters in the grass, all that. Now, in Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu is a bit different. And I would say this is almost like a spiritual successor / evolution of that concept that they were testing out in those games. But with less emphasis on the Pokemon Go mechanics they were playing around with. So, in this game, let's get into the gameplay first. The gameplay of Pokemon Legends Arceus is basically the usual Pokemon game, but it has a different framework than we get into the story. Essentially, the badges are broken up into 5 boss battles and 10 ranks in the organization you're a part of that you get by cataloging Pokemon. So, unlike in other games where the gym battles are your only real goal, like you don't really have to worry about your Pokedex unless you're going for completion stuff, you actually do kind of need to pay attention to your Pokedex while you're in this game. For those of you who don't know, there's a minor spoiler, but this is actually set in the past, in the Hisu region, which will eventually become what we know as Sinnoh, the Gen 4 region. And Sinnoh was my favorite region, so I was super excited about this just on the outset. And as a result of it being an older game, there were evolutions of Pokemon that didn't make it into the modern day, and there's a different diversity of Pokemon than we saw in the original Sinnoh, because this is set hundreds of years in the past, things have changed over time, you know, that kind of thing. And you even see some special regional variants to this time period, like all the starters. So you get starters from each one from different regions. So you get the Johto starter, Cyndaquil. You get Oshawott, the starter from the Unova region, and you get Rowlet from the Alola region, which is all really interesting, and they each evolve into a unique, their final evolution is a unique regional variant. So Cyndaquil is a fire and ghost type. Rowlet's final evolution is a grass and fighting type, and Oshawott is a dark and water type. So they have 2 layers of advantage. So the ghost and fire are weak to water and dark. Water and dark are weak to grass and fighting, you know, the triangle, the weakness triangle. But it's on 2 different layers, which I really like. Plus, I just really like fire ghost type. Like, that's just a really cool thing to do with Typhlosion. If you couldn't tell, Typhlosion was my starter. And since this is like way in the past, people are using. Okay, so might be a little confusing. So those of you who don't know a lot of Pokemon lore probably are like, wait, doesn't Pokemon use like the advanced Pokeball technology, and aren't they like a fairly recent thing in Pokemon's world? Like in one movie we saw Professor Oak as a kid, and he was using like these old wind-up Pokeballs, so they were like prototyping them back then. So if they were, if it's this new, how hundreds of years ago they were catching Pokemon? Well, it's done using, in Johto, I think it was like Pokemon Johto or whatever. What was it, like the fourth season of the show? There was this really obscure episode where they talked about how old Pokeballs used to be these hollowed out apricorn shells that they could latch together with special materials. And they weren't as good as normal Pokeballs, as modern Pokeballs, nor as durable, and they had to be collected from like natural ingredients and stuff like that. So Pokeballs are more basic, and they also couldn't, hook into all the box and PC systems that we have nowadays. So all your Pokemon are like stored at a ranch, for example. It's just, this little like pseudo daycare place. They don't level up while they're in there. And you're a part of Team Galactic Team. Sorry, it's weird translation, or maybe it's trying to differentiate itself from the new Team Galactic. But you're part of Galactic Team. In the Hisu region, you're basically settlers who came from another region. You're trying to, make a living for yourself there, map out the new Pokemon. And the scientist there is trying to start up his own Pokedex. Back then, Pokedex were literally just collections of notes on Pokemon. And unlike in previous games, you don't end your Pokedex entry with just catching a Pokemon. You can catch it multiple times for more details, catch larger and small ones, see it use specific types of moves, find out, use a move it's weak to in order to get multiple times in a row. And you're basically collecting data on how they react, which I actually really like, because one of the things that's always been lacking to me in the Pokedex is, we catch one example and suddenly we're done. Oh, does it have like a male and female difference? Well, better catch both of those, but you don't really need to. And it just always felt lackluster since the professor sends you out to go collect data on Pokemon. Plus, this is like years later. It's like you have every kid out there has a Pokedex. It doesn't feel like we all need to help you collect data. It feels like you're getting plenty of data. But back then, you have people who are like, wait, I don't think that's a Burmy. I think Burmy is this. And it's like, you don't know Burmy has 3 different forms? Oh, well, I better go collect all of them for you and give them to you guys. See? They're all Burmy. The people there don't interact with Pokemon a lot. Catching Pokemon is something really, really dangerous in Pokemon, and when you don't have Pokeballs and there aren't all these official methods for training, people who can bond with Pokemon are pretty rare and have to be, willing to go out into the wild and catch a Pokemon and interact with them. When they could potentially get hurt. Because, they bring up the fact that Pokemon can attack you. And in this game, Pokemon can outright attack you. Unlike in the, lower tech games, there are Pokemon wandering all throughout the region. You have to hunt down specific Pokemon in order to increase your Pokedex and increase your standing in the organization. This acts as a sort of pseudo-badge system. Now, there are also a series of boss fights. I will get to those in a little while. 5 of them, these alpha Pokemon of sorts. And I have a few problems with those. Again, we're going to get there. But those two act as the main form of progression. I do like how the exploration and recording sections are differentiated from the big boss fights. But in order to be able to command Pokemon of higher levels, you have to have explored and gotten a certain number of badges. So if you want, you could go through all the game, but you're going to have to deal with your Pokemon not listening to you because you don't have the badges to let you control a level 40 Pokemon, and you need a level 40 Pokemon to fight that, level, 45 Pokemon. And that's just, I really like that there's an incentive to explore, even if you really want a challenge run, I guess you could do it. I also feel like the battles are a bit harder, though they are rarer. There aren't as many trainer battles in this game. In fact, trainer battles are pretty rare. I'd say I've only ran into like maybe 30 of them in the whole game, which was a little disappointing, because the few I did have were really interesting, especially when they drop like 3 Pokemon at once, and I'd be like, oh shit. And you don't get to drop 3. Which was really interesting. Plus, you can get swarmed by multiple Pokemon in the wild, so there are all these very organic battle situations that you run into, and I really just enjoyed exploring the world. Plus, when you beat the Pokemon, the Alpha Pokemon, you befriend them and you get access to one of their, either the same Pokemon or one of the counterpart Pokemon, usually the counterpart Pokemon from like the other tribe, that will let you climb rocks or ride it through the area for better speed, or you can detect treasure, surf, rock climbs, fly, all those different moves. You get that through these, bonding with the legendary, not the legendaries, but the sacred Pokemon of the area. which again, I really liked. I feel like the movement is pretty organic. The only time I really had problems was switching from, let's see here, what was it? Switching to the rock climbing from the horse or oh god, it was the reindeer one was a little difficult, and the treasure one always felt really clunky. I didn't really use it that much unless I was specifically looking for something. Those two could use some improvement, but overall the movement controls and the fluid movement between different mounts was very well executed. I liked it. There's also just these big open areas. You have like 6 areas you can go out and explore, and they're all very nice. I liked them a lot. And I was actually kind of invested in the story, which was a bit new for me for Pokemon. I've been investing in the story since I was like 13 years old. All in all, a very good game, good mechanics, well balanced. I like the new regional stuff. Running into the alpha Pokemon was a good thing to keep you going back to old areas and not make them too boring where you just curb stop everything, because, you know, in the area there'll be like, each area has like at least one Pokemon out there as alpha that's like a little 40 or 50. So you feel like an area can somewhat challenge you all the way into your higher levels when you're going there to explore, to fill out your Pokedex. The reason I actually couldn't finish the game on time because I got really obsessed with filling out every Pokemon in one of the areas, and then I did it on a second one, and then I suddenly realized, oh shit, I had to finish this game for tomorrow, and I couldn't. That's why I didn't release this review on Friday. So if you're wondering, yeah, this game was really good. It got me to forget my deadline. So you're also dealing with the myths that... Also, what's really interesting is that we find out that Cyrus apparently based a lot of his organization off the old myths that you take part of in this game. So Cyrus was the villain, the leader of Team Galactic, not to be confused with Galactic Team, in the 4th generation of Pokemon games. And his plan to use the red chain to bind the gods of time and space was actually taken from when you, in this game, in the past, actually did it for the first time. You created the red chain with the help of Azelf, UC, and Mistbrite, and you used it in order to prevent Palkia and Dialga from ripping apart the universe, like what they did in Ocarina of Time. God, best Pokemon movie right there. Loved Ocarina of Time. That was a fantastic movie. What? I like it. I really love the opening song, too. I just listened to it on repeat as a kid. But I guess I should get into the story now. I'll do a minor overview of the intro. I'm not going to do too much of the actual... And then I'll let you guys know when it gets into spoiler territory. So, the opening of the game is just you making your character and falling through space. Apparently a rift in time opened up beneath you just before we visit the main character. And they drop themselves onto a beach wearing modern clothes, and they're found by the professor. The time period is a little weird because it's Pokemon. Like, they have, like, cameras, but it's also a very rural village. Like, there's not really a lot of electricity. I'm guessing it's sort of like World War I era Japan, I think. Maybe like a little before that. The same kind of period Demon Slayer is going for. Where they're kind of modernized in big cities, but this is a small outpost, so it's not really modernized. And you find out the people who rescued you are part of a Galactic Team, and they're newcomers to the area trying to settle, just find their place, and explore the region. They recently made peace with the 2 tribes, the Diamond Tribe and the Pearl Tribe. Yes, I know references to Diamond and Pearl, and they both worship the Great Sinnoh, who's supposed to be a legendary Pokemon who guards over it. And Diamond Team thinks it's the god of time, the other thing is the god of space, and they're kind of both right, because Sinnoh is really Dialga and Palkia, although I think it's more Arceus. And it's also heavily implied that Arceus is the one who pulled you through the rift, as a trainer to help save them. When you wake up, you find your phone has been replaced with a weird like super smartphone with magic powers that's stylized like an Arceus themed phone. And everyone calls you that random stranger who fell out of a hole in the sky. I love how, like, at first, when they first bring you there, they're like, oh, really? You fell into a hole in the sky? We have this massive rift in the sky. You must have fallen out of there. It's like, this is normal? Well, it's been there since we got here. The Diamond Tribe and Pearl Tribe say it's not been there that long. But, we haven't been here, so we're not really sure. And then people and then when the situation gets worse later on in the game, people get suspicious of you because, you're one of the only people to have fallen through the sky. You even meet someone else who apparently came from the same world you did, from the time period you did. He's one of the train conductor guys from Pokemon Black and White. Which is really interesting. I really liked that. He has, like, full-on amnesia, and it's implied to you do somewhat, although you clearly remember an era where Pokemon were, like, best friends with everyone, and Pokeballs were not hollowed out acorns, essentially. And so you're tasked to prove yourself as a member of Team Galactic because, yeah, they'll take you in, but they don't take in freeloaders. So you got to prove your worth, sharing resources and keeping in because they're, trying to survive out here. You prove that you're a decent Pokemon trainer and they're like, all right, we can always use more scouts. So they send you out to go record. You hear about a sacred Pokemon who is apparently a descendant of a Pokemon who is imbued with power by the Great Sinnoh. And they're like all considered really, really sacred, but a few of them have recently become frenzied, and their guardians can't get anywhere near them. And you get part of a plan to calm it down. When you do so, you eventually get tasked to go calm down the others. And then stuff starts happening. So I'll get to that later, but that's the main plot. You gotta go around, you gotta go calm down the frenzied Pokemon, interact with their handlers. Each one of them has a story. They're all a bit unique. And I really liked it. I especially liked the Arcanine Growlithe story with the Great Lord there. That was actually a really good story. I kind of liked it a lot. And there was also a bit of weird, kind of nerdy Pokemon science going on there too, because oh, he evolved because of his friends. Oh, no, wait. No, I'll get there to a spoiler section actually. But yeah, I would probably give this thing a 9.5 out of 10. It's really close to being perfect, but I would say it's not entirely polished. It's clear they didn't have... Pokemon games are made on a really tight schedule, and it's very clear that this game needed a bit more time. The frame rate can be a bit stuttery at certain points, although, oddly enough, it smoothed out as I was playing the game. Maybe I just stopped noticing it as much, but all in all, it could use a bit more polish. I also think trainer battles would be better, although trainers are supposed to be, people who can catch and, command Pokemon are supposed to be rare in this era, and it's more about the exploration and filling out your Pokedex, so I can understand why there are less battles, but I would have liked there to be more battles. Honestly, I would really like a version of this game set with gym leaders. You have the filling out the Pokedex and, learning about Pokemon and training with them, and you have the gym leaders over here. They also had new things like the agility and strength style moves along with an actual speed system that meant you could take multiple turns in a row, and your speed actually affected how many times you got to attack. So, strength move for low speed but heavy damage, normal for mid-range, and then agile for fast but a little bit less damage, and occasionally you can do two things in a row. It allowed you to do some really interesting strategies. One of my favorite things to do was take my Alakazam and use Calm Mind Agile in order to get an extra strike, and that basically let me get a free powered-up Psychic on them. It's little things like that add more strategy to the Pokemon battles that I really liked. So I feel like this game is basically a ton of steps in the right direction. I just feel like they need more polish. This feels like the red and blue to whatever is coming next, silver and gold and crystal. And hopefully eventually we'll get our diamond and pearl. Because a lot of people say that the second generation Pokemon game was basically just a straight better version of the old ones. And I agree with that. So let's get a version, if we get a version of this game that has a bit more polish, a bit more focus on the trainer battles, and the boss fights aren't as terrible, I'd probably like it. That's the main problem I have too, actually. All the other things can probably hand wave for a 10 out of 10. The reason it's a 9.5 is because the boss battles just were not fun. So the way it works is you're supposed to throw these sacks at the Pokemon that are frenzied until they calm down. Now you can just engage them in a battle, but these are really powerful Pokemon. So I was like, okay, well I'll try and get them as low as possible until I get low on health, because you get attacked enough, your screen starts darkening, and eventually you get a warning saying, hey, you can only take one more hit, and I was planning to throw a Pokeball out. I never really needed to do that. I did technically die twice. Once on the ice and once on the one right before that, in the Voltorb one, but I only needed to restart that battle and suddenly I could win. It just wasn't that hard. I could just throw, dodge one attack, throw, dodge one attack. Oh look, it's a really hard boss. Throw, dodge attack, dodge attack, dodge attack, throw, dodge attack. It just wasn't that difficult. And I know I played Dark Souls for fun, so dodge rolling away as I blast them with magic, it's just not that difficult of a combat system, and I didn't feel the need to use my Pokemon, which is really sad, because I feel like if I used my Pokemon for these boss fights, maybe they would have been more interesting. But as they stand, they were too easy to just take care of with the powders. And I think the battles would have been better if you had to calm them down a bit and then battle them into submission. After they got the meter all the way down, then you could battle them for the suboptimal battle. So that way you were rewarded for your good gameplay there with a slightly easier battle. Not this whole, oh, well, if you need to get them at the very end, you get a really easy battle. It's like, that's just not fun. I don't know. I just did not like it that much. It seemed like a very simplistic system that if they're going to try it again, they need to build on. But I don't really think it would work outside this game, so maybe they won't bring this back and they'll just do something different for boss fights. I would very much prefer just having a big old Pokemon, maybe having to do like a 2v1 battle against a really strong Pokemon where you get two Pokemon and that's against one really, really powerful Pokemon, as opposed to this, normal battle, but you get to weaken them first. I think they need to experiment first, more. Like, you had a lot of battles where you had to deal with like 2 or 3 Pokemon against your one. I think that inverse, but with a really strong boss, would have made the challenge interesting. That's just my personal opinion. As it stands, though, it comes down to a 9.5 out of 10. Pokemon, you're really trying new stuff recently. I'm very excited with it. I want to see more. Game Freak, take this game, make it better, give me another one. I am all aboard a sequel for this. So, yeah. Okay, that's the review. Let's move on to the spoiler section. So, things get interesting with this. As you go around freeing the Lords, you start hearing about the Great Sinnoh and the Pearl and Diamond's feud. They're mostly chill nowadays, but apparently they used to constantly be at war with each other. And each of them has one of like 5 Great Lords. And these Great Lords live in these 10 Great Lords each live in like a pair in certain areas. So Diamond has one and Pearl has one in each area. And there's always a guardian. So these guardians actually tend to talk with each other. Like, some of them hate each other, and they're like, oh, don't go over to that guy. He's an annoying pest. But then others are like, oh, I know our clans don't get along. But you know what? When you're stuck out here all alone with nothing but our lords, and our lords don't mind each other, so you know what? We're just gonna chill. 2 of them even have like a little romance going on, which is really nice. It was actually really interesting. And that brings me to the most interesting part. So, first you go through the little Scyther evolution. It's a rock and bug type. I really love the regional variants here. Like, all the regional variants are fantastic. Love them. But then you go on to Lilligant, who's like the grass Pokemon. I think she's a Husin variant of a Pokemon. Yeah, Lilligant is a variant from the Black and White And then you get the Lord of the Isles, Arcanine. And this one's actually interesting because the Lord hasn't been frenzied. You're sent out there because there are these strange rumors from the island. You're supposed to check out, everybody's a little unnerved because the Lord on the volcano in that island died recently. And so everybody's like afraid it's been haunted. So as a neutral party, Team Galactus sent out there to, just go out there, check around, don't get attacked by a ghost, and, prove to everyone this is superstition, there's no ghost out there. And you meet up with the 2 trainers of the Lords. One's the, surf Pokemon you use, and the other is a young Growlithe. And the Lord is actually a little tiny Growlithe. The personal Pokemon of the Guardian is a slightly larger Growlithe who looks like a bigger one. And she even asked me, which one do you think the Lord is? And I'm like, we're going for Subversion, so the little one it is. Like, they couldn't pass me on that. She's like, you have a good eye. It's like, yeah, it's never who you think it is. But anyway, apparently, recently the Lord died, and that little Arcanine is his cub. So he has to deal with the fact that the clan is constantly pushing her to train him harder so he can take over the Lord's mantle at a younger age. And she tried doing that, but he was just so miserable. So she just said, no, you know what? I don't care what you say. I was chosen to be his guardian. I was the guardian for his father. We're going to take this slow, and we're going to do this right. He doesn't need to grow up yet. We have plenty of lords. Let the noble Growlithe grow into an Arcanine on his own time. And he ends up getting, the other Growlithe ends up getting kidnapped by the bandits who immediately think, oh, the bigger Growlithe is the Lord, and take him to the island. So you have to go rescue him. And during the rescue, the Growlithe with the Guardian ends up getting very upset at, that his friend is getting kidnapped and ends up evolving. Now, fun fact though, Arcanine needs a Firestone to evolve. But this volcano is where Firestones are formed. So technically, he's surrounded by Firestones. All he needed was the desire or the want to evolve in order to evolve. So needing to save his friend and being surrounded by Firestones is what let him evolve. But everyone else is like, oh, look how determined he was to save his friend. It's like, yeah, but he was surrounded by Firestones. It's the only reason he was able to do it. And I just love it's that little, like, these are people from the past who don't fully understand Pokemon evolution yet, and you're able to take advantage of stones and stuff like that because you do. But they're all thinking it was his willpower. You're thinking, oh, so this is why they're the Lord of this Isle. Because even though it's surrounded by water and he's a fire-type Pokemon, this is where the fire stones they need to evolve are. And it's just little story bits like that have made this interesting. Like, the story was interesting because you're around all these people who don't know as much about Pokemon as you do for once. Like, you're not in a new region with brand new Pokemon, for instance. You're in an old region with a few different variants that you get surprised by. But for the most part, you know more than everyone else. Which is just fascinating dynamic. Anyway, he ends up getting frenzied by lightning that comes out of the portal way above Mount Coronet, and you have to calm him down. And then you do the others. There's a little thing with Voltorb, how before Voltorb looked like metal Pokeballs, they were looking like apricots, so it's like a grass and electric type, I think. Which is actually an interesting combination. I don't think we've seen a grass and electric type Pokemon before. And then you have to go fight this giant ice Pokemon who's like massive. And it's, it's interesting. The ice Pokemon was very cheap. The Voltorb was actually really cheap. The ice Pokemon was just like, hey, I had to try one more time. The Voltorb was a cheap a-hole when it came to the fight. Basically, he fires these orbs at you that follow you constantly, and they follow you for like 5 minutes. So I was almost tempted to just like throw my Pokeballs and fight him, but I'm like, no, you know what? I am a Dark Souls player. I will not be beaten in basic dodge hit combo, combat. So I was a little suicidal there on the Voltorb one, but I got the pattern down and beat him. Wasn't that hard. And once you beat all of them and subdue them, the entire sky turns red and everyone starts panicking. You end up getting cast out of Galactic Team, because they're like, you did this. You calmed down Pokemon that we had left frenzied for so long, and now the sky's going. Yeah, we did it on their orders, but they're not acting rationally. In fact, other people in the village, even though sympathetic to us, are like, look, I don't agree that you should get banished, but I understand why they're doing this. And I actually really liked how the head of Team Galactic is like this really serious, like, almost like samurai dude. And the other person is basically a gender swap version of Cyrus, who has a fun Misty-like character trait of being scared of bug Pokemon. But she's always came across as like the very stern, like, well, we'll see if you're worth keeping around. But turns out when the chips are down, she's like, yeah, you came. You appeared out of nowhere, and I was a little suspicious of you. But you know what? You came here, you worked, you helped frenzy these Pokemon, you helped calm down the Pokemon that were frenzying when none of us could, and people were getting hurt. And I think it's wrong that he cast you out. Orders are orders, so I have to listen to him. But I'm going to give you my Abra. And if you need to get any of your Pokemon from the ranch here, he'll come back and teleport them to you. Stay in contact with me, let me know what you find. When we find a way to clear your name, you will get back here. I am vouching for you. Don't worry, I'm here for you. And of course, the professor and the girl, who I guess if you're playing a girl, be a boy. They're on your side as well. And there's this moment of like walking out of the village, and it's like everybody's like, oh, we never should have let him in there. Yeah, how could we trust that guy? He fell from the sky. That's where all the lightning. Those portals, caused the Pokemon to get all frenzy and angered the great lords. Obviously, he's evil. Even the people you helped. And when you go, and you eventually have to go to Mesprit, Uxie, and Azelf, and they each give you their test. And Mesprit is just a conversation. She asks you questions. And one of the questions is, how did it feel when everyone got, they kicked you out of Galactic Team? And the base response, the response I chose, there were 3 responses. None of them were that pleasant. Like, it's like, I understand, I guess, or just, I'm not really sure, or I'm actually pretty bitter about it. It's like, yeah, I came here, I fell out of a portal in the sky, they offered to take me in, they did, and then I did all this work for them, and they just kicked me out the second things went bad, even though it was my fault. It's like, yeah, you're bitter. Your character is actually bitter and a little annoyed about this, because, obviously you would be. And you get the red chain from Mesprit, Azelf, and Uxie, after you pass all their trials, and you use it to bind one of the 2 legendaries. Depends on which of the 2 tribe leaders you chose to help escort you during the trial. I chose Team Diamond, so I got Dialga as my first catch. And then Palkia comes out even more amped up and seeming to be fused with Arceus or something. It was like this really weird form for Palkia. And he ends up blasting you away, and you have to forge this special ball made out of origin metal. So you throw it at him, and you catch Palkia. You end the distortion over the world. Palkia and Yolga's feuds are settled because you have catched them and you are going to keep them quiet for a while. Eventually, when you leave, you'll release them and they'll go their separate ways. But you're going to stay here for a time and keep them, contained. And then you're told, all right, well, we still have some things to do around town, so let's finish those up. So I'm not done with all the side quests. I don't know where everything else is going to go. I still haven't met Arceus yet. But I'm really excited to. This is just a fun game. Like, during all my free time, I always just take it out and, just go around, catch a few Pokemon I haven't gotten yet. All right, I'll put it away for a few minutes. Really easy save. The Switch is just a great console, so it's a perfect fit for this game. All in all, like I said, I really like this game. I was actually pretty engaged with parts of the story, which I'm not usually engaged with Pokemon stories. Like, they're usually just running through the motions, so that was nice. And, yeah. Don't really have much more to say on this. So, let's talk about what's coming up. This world restriction has officially ended, by the way. So, upcoming, we have a few things on, what was it? So today's Tuesday. This is released for Tuesday. Releasing on Friday, I'm going to be reviewing, it's going to be either Disenchanted or The Servant Mage. One's a book, The Servant Mage is a book, Disenchanted Season 4 is a Netflix show created by the guy who made Futurama. One of those we'll be reviewing. It'll depend on which one I do. I'm still trying to finish Servant Mage. It's a small book, but I just haven't had that much time because I've been trying to rush through Legends Arceus. But one of those we'll be reviewing on Friday. On Monday, I will hopefully be reviewing either Elden Ring or Horizon Zero Dawn. If I can't finish them in a weekend, because running through two giant open world games, especially a From Software game that's going to, pound my face into the ground with every boss fight, those games might take a bit more time. So, if not, I will be reviewing The Servant's Mage or Disenchanted on that next Tuesday as well, depending on which one I reviewed on Friday. So, yeah. Look forward to that stuff. I am playing both Horizon Forbidden West and Elden Ring, so those are two PS5, one's a PS5 game and the other I'm playing on PS5 because I finally have my PS5 and I'm gonna frickin' use it. So I'm looking very much forward to those. I'm super excited to talk about them with you guys. Seriously, I'm a From Software shill. Like, I don't care. From Software, you're the best. I love all of your games. Yes, even Dark Souls 2. Even Dark Souls 3, actually. Dark Souls 3 is my least favorite. But I will have plenty of time to talk about that in my review of Elden Ring. I cannot wait. See you guys then. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode, and thank you for listening to the Dragon's Library. Please subscribe to this podcast to be notified of new episodes. The Dragon's Library releases new episodes Tuesday and Friday each week, and you can follow us on Twitter at dragon_library2. If you want to suggest an episode topic, my email is in the description below. And as always, thank you so much for all your support.